Well, the first thing I'd say is just so proud of our team for making the NCAA tournament. And, before the season started, there were a lot of question marks for us. We lost some firepower and some veterans that meant a lot to us, and we're relying on some young players. And through all of the adversity and all of the long, hard, you think about 130 practices, summer full of workouts. They had to earn their way to this spot. So once again, we find ourselves among the nation's best and going into the tournament, and a real great chance to go and compete for a national championship. And you can't do that if you don't get into the tournament. And the fact that we're a number 2 seed and earned our way to hosting in Lexington, I just am very, very proud of our team up to this point. Now you immediately have to recognize that, and then you have to start preparing for Tennessee State, which is so interesting because we've played them already, and I think that could possibly work to our advantage, being able to actually put some real game film in and letting the players see how they stacked up against the team. I think I can remember last year the unknowns about Wright State were a little bit, from a coach's standpoint, a bit disconcerting. So this is, a really tough matchup because Tennessee State was in the game with us. There's no question about it. But we're excited to tip off 2:30 Friday afternoon. So very, very happy to be back in the tournament and looking forward to playing Tennessee State on Friday. Well, as all of you who've covered us know, that the last 10 days of the season, regular season, were quite interesting and physically taxing, playing 2 weeknight games in the Central Time Zone, and then the number 2 team in the country. And so the last week or so was tough, and then 3 straight games against really tough competition in the SEC tournament. So while we played really good basketball down the stretch and had some great results, it was taxing on us. So I think for us it was great. It was great mentally, emotionally, physically. The time off was good. And then the ability to really get back to focusing on what we do well. And, our style of play needs some energy, and being able to give them a little time off and then come back energetic and really, focusing on our transition game, both offensively and defensively, focusing on our press, all those hustle aspects. We've had great preparation when we didn't have to worry about an opponent. So, I was watching the team today. We were really hustling this afternoon. It looked like we had a little spring in our step, and so that's what we need to be a good basketball team. So I think the time off was very beneficial for us, and I think the players used it wisely.
Coach, I'm sure you're thrilled about the 2 seed, but also you can't escape UConn. They said it themselves, and I think they said 0-17 as the number 2 seed in the UConn region. You heard what Gino had to say. How much motivation do you take from that sort of thing? I
don't think there's anything to add. I think he was, I just told our team, I don't need to say anything. That's, I'll tell you what you do if you start thinking about UConn, you won't have to worry about them because you won't see them. So if we see UConn, we will have played some good basketball because that means we're in the Final 8, and then we will address UConn. But listen, it's a great bracket. But I just agree with him 100%. If you are sad about that opportunity, then you deserve to get beat and you need to go home. And I can assure you, we are excited about playing Tennessee State, and if we're not, then we'll go home, and we won't have to worry about UConn. So we've got a lot of work to do. Let me tell you, it's hard to make it to the Sweet 16. It's very hard to make it to the Elite Eight. It's, hard to make it to the Final Four. So there's no easy path there. This is a tough tournament, and you just need to keep your head down and keep trying to survive day after day. But if it gets to that point, I'll just put that tape in and play his comments, because I thought they were really, really good. I'll call him tonight and tell him thank you. Got me out of some work if we get to the Elite Eight.
Long before you might hit UConn, you could also potentially hit Louisville. What would a rematch, almost dream game type thing for Kentucky and Louisville to face off?
Yeah, I mean, it would be incredible. It would be a very, very strong challenge and tough challenge, and as would LSU, as would South Florida, as would BYU. Now, I don't know much about BYU, but I know if they were to beat Louisville and beat South Florida or LSU, it'd be real challenging. So, again, we'll have to, as the storylines go, and just in the interest of that, there's some very intriguing matchups in the regional. From a very important practical matter, you just cannot, from a basketball team's perspective, concern yourself with that. So one thing that makes the NCAA tournament so interesting and fun is to talk about these things. And so I understand the desire to talk about those matchups, and I would say that this could be a very, very entertaining region, and we just want to go in and play our very best and work really hard and try to win 4 games and get the Final Four. That's what everybody, I would say, that feels like they have a chance in this country to get there is thinking tonight. I got to take care of game 1 and just keep working, and we would love to get there, but you just can't really think a lot about it right now.
Matthew, when you walked off the floor at Ole Miss, I don't know if you thought that this was a 2-seed team. What does that say, though, about your team, the way that they were able to turn things around and earn that seed?
Well, I told the team before we came out, and so much of the tournament gets because there's such intense interest in the men's tournament and the women's tournament, and people love to fill out the brackets, and so you've got this whole segment of society, and it's a great thing because it's made our sport very, very popular. And we have the premier women's sport in the country in collegiate basketball. And so it is fantastic to have that kind of interest. And you want that. But, there's a danger there when you start playing the brackets out on paper. You start to say, well, listen, Kentucky faces a UConn Elite Eight, they have no chance. Or Kentucky gets Louisville and they are going to get beat or whatever. You start playing out that. I told the team, listen, it doesn't matter. You have no control over where you go. But I do want to ask you, do you think anybody that's playing games on paper, that Monday night when we got on that bus to drive to Memphis to fly home, one of the worst bus rides of my life, do you think anybody on paper thought that next Sunday you had a chance against South Carolina? Nobody in this room, I bet, thought that we did, or anybody outside, or maybe you guys had more faith in us than that. But my point is that you're in control of how you play the game, and they changed their mindset in a very short period of time and beat a tough team against, at Arkansas, beat a really, really talented South Carolina team, and then, played 3 really tough games against great competition. So I think that's useful to let them know we're really in control of how well we play, and it's all based on our mindset, our effort, our energy. And from what I'm seeing from them now, I think we are capable of going and doing that.
You mentioned physically you guys are a little bit better. Can you kind of run down on injuries? Is Michaela practicing again? Mm-hmm. Is she?
I thought she looked really explosive today, looked good. We just have, your normal end of the year bumps and bruises and people don't feel great, but we don't have any significant injury problem of any note unless something happens between now and Friday. We'll be at full speed and as full of speed as anybody else is this time of year. You know, I mean, if you don't have some bumps and bruises and wear and tear on you, good for you. You're, you know, I think a pretty rare team. So there's nothing really for us to hold us back from playing our best.
You kind of touched on the whole hosting thing in your opening statement, but in the women's tournament, you get the host, that's got to be a huge advantage, something you guys enjoy.
Well, the thing that happened with us last year is that, you know, it was a bid process, and we were able to bid on it. This year, you had to earn it. And to me, that's the thing that I'm most proud of, is that the players, through all of the early mornings and hard runs and weightlifting sessions and tough practices and day after day after day, to, you know, be standing here at this point is something that I'm proud of them for. And, you know, they just need to take that the very best of this year. You know, we've beaten some really good teams and done some incredible things. And then we've had some slip-ups where we haven't been at our best and have had some setbacks. And I just think that this team needs to really embrace how we've been able to be a good team. And it's always been with tenacity. It's always been with fight. It's always been with playing really, really hard. And that's what we need to embrace going into this tournament. But proud of them for hosting. We need everybody to really rally right now. And we got to some points in the Syracuse game last year to go to the Sweet 16 where it was a very difficult game. And our team made some plays that got the crowd on their feet, and it was a major advantage for us. So a big crowd, and our fans have been so loyal and faithful. We really just need them to come out in strong numbers and make sure it's a great home court advantage for us.